discussion. So,
and Bill's walking away because he doesn't want to be a part of it
love
anymore.
We were talking about selling my comics, and Pepper had said sell them for 10, and I was like, okay, but I feel in my head I was doing that's too expensive. So Mariah and my friend Kevin, who are both cheapskates, and I love my wife dearly, but she's a cheapskate. So, but I mean that in a loving way.
I'm a cheapskate too, and I'm the one that
they were saying 10 as well.
You need to do 10.
Then I messaged Tim Mornay, who's part of Rocky Mountain Con, and he's a collector, not an artist. Yeah. So he doesn't draw anything. He just collects comics. And I said, is 10 too much? And he said, no, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, good. Then now I finally, and I was like saying that to Pepper, and Pepper's like, I said that. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I can't listen to you. You're an artist. You're biased in my imposter syndrome's world.
But okay, like, hear me out, guy.
Well, you don't need to convince me now. I'm convinced.
No, it's just, but the thing is where I was coming from was a place of basically going, okay, guy needs to hear this because I had to hear this. I went to an actual collector's convention called Collecticon at one point.
Yeah.
And I had
Brent's coming in from everywhere.
Yeah, like I had no really realization of like just on how much like collectors are willing to spend if they are invested in the artist.
Right.
So like you have friends and family and stuff, but you also have people who would probably want to see Bellatrix Rising because it's a good, story.
We haven't gotten to that point yet. We're convincing my imposter syndrome of that. I mean, I'm still doing the only people who want to buy this are my buddies, sort of thing in my mentality. I haven't hit the point where there's an equilibrium, I think, where your imposter syndrome's here and then the real world finally can push past it and like overflow it. I'm not there yet. I'm like here, every time somebody buys a copy, I just do that's clearly because, they're buddies of mine or whatever. You know what I mean? Like in my head. So it's hard.
The thing is you have friends who are Trekkies. You have friends who are Star Wars fans. Bill likes Star Trek more than he likes
Star Wars.
He likes the Orville, which is like, and you like the Orville, and
which is Star Trek adjacent.
Your story is similar to all of these.
Right, it's Star Trek adjacent. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it. I mean,
no. It's not that. I early on, I was doing something. So part of this is that it's like everything. You have that one friend who says something slightly negative, and you listen to them, and then all your other friends say something positive. And my one friend was like, I think you're charging too much for all of this stuff. But he's not a collector. So, nor is he actually a comic book person. So, I have to sneeze.
Well, see, here's the thing. Then that's where you have to basically go, look, I like you as a friend and all, but if you open your mouth, I'm going to punch you.
Well, no. It was a long time ago. It was back in the early days of all of this, like 2018, 2019, when we were first sort of edging into this. I haven't talked to him about this yet since. He's just been along for the ride, as most of my friends are going, wow, you actually pulled this off. I'm proud of you. Well done. Good job. Now
after NDK, you work on chapter 2.
Yeah, well, actually, after NDK, we have to finish Airship 27 because that's been on the plate. But then after that I'm only going to spend a week after.
And you got another $10 for a first comic is a good jump off point.
Yeah, I think so too. I think $10 a first comic is fine. I'll continue to sell the last 10 or so that I have of the other of the Zeroth comic, and then I'll repop that. I'll continue to sell that one for $5, but I'll repop it and put that one out at $10. And then this one that I'm working on right now can also be a $10 one as well. So,
yeah, I think
I know, Brent. It's we're talking about emotions versus intellect. Intellectually, I knew I would finish this. I have finished 300 pages of Tamerlan. I can easily finish this. I know that intellectually. However, my emotions are that of a 10-year-old ADDer, and I never finish anything. And my dad's yelling at me for not finishing stuff, and my mom's yelling at me for not finishing stuff. And both of them are saying, "You're so smart. Why can't you just finish this stuff?" So emotionally, we have a different problem, sadly. And that's so part of this is just facing my own little dragons.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the reality of it. It has everything to do with being slightly uncomfortable, but I also know that if I don't actually address my emotions, then I will accidentally sabotage myself. Oops, I made it to the Fort Collins Comic-Con, and I guess I just forgot my inventory. You know what I mean? Like, I will accidentally sabotage myself because some part of my brain will say, "Oh, $10, and you're never going to sell those for $10 a piece. So we'll just forget them." So that's one of the reasons why I like to go through this mentally and walk myself through it, because if I can grab the little 10-year-old and walk him out of this little maze and get him to join my intellect, then I will remember my inventory when I go to the conventions. He won't sabotage me by trying to kick my shins every time I try to do something. Or, gee willikers, I have NDK. Guess I can't do any work this week. When really I have still today's show, tonight's show, tomorrow's show. I probably won't be here tomorrow night, because that's the last chance I've got. And then Wednesday I move into the hotel. So, which reminds me, I don't know where Brian is, and he's taking a break, and he's taking a mental health break, but
it's fine. All good.
So he's the only other one that can start these shows without me. So if I'm not here and he's not here, I don't want to pay the extra money, because you can do 2 administrators or pay the extra money to have more than 2 administrators. Because if I could pay the extra money, I'd make Pepper an administrator too, and then you could start the show if you wanted. You know what I mean? Like, anybody could start the show anytime.
Yeah.
But we have to go from the $20 a month to the $50 a month version. So
gotcha. I know Bill wants me to start streaming my processes, but he also then went into he wants me to go on Patreon and do the streaming there. So I'm I don't know how that works, because last time I was on Patreon, when I had it open, my Patreon, I was like, okay, what streaming service do I have to do? And I think it was Vimeo. And Vimeo, in order to stream, you have to pay to actually stream through Vimeo.
Yeah, I feel like that's not. I feel like they had something weird going on for it too, because now's a good time as I need to check, because I probably should do it too.
I'm actually gonna. Well, I have to look and see if I can still I guess get in, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, you can use YouTube on Patreon or Crowdcast, because supportpatreon.com says use the Crowdcast. Yeah, and it allows YouTube or Crowdcast. Crowdcast costs money, but yeah, but you could do it through YouTube. So that's easy peasy.
Okay. So where would I find that information?
All you do is whenever you make a new post, you click stream.
Okay. And then it would be streaming through there?
Mm-hmm. and then it asks you where is your stream coming from, and you'll start your YouTube channel and then make an unlisted private broadcast and then link those two together.
Okay. Yeah, I basically have to go through. I basically have to go through and like delete all my old posts, and like I'm just gonna restart everything fresh type deal.
All right. Brent's saying if you stream on Twitch, he can moderate your channel as well. He moderates mine to keep all the pests away.
Well, yeah.
Which he's been doing since those guys came on and said that we were both very hot.
Oh, wonderful.
Remember that time?
I mean, I felt very proud of myself for being called hot when that happened.
I was too. We went dancing on Friday night and a guy hit on me and I was like, "Aw, I'm so sorry." And I was like, I'm sorry, man. But
was he around your age or was he younger?
No, he was much younger. He was like a 20-something, so he was after a bear. It was very sweet.
He was after a daddy. That's what he was.
Yeah, he was after a daddy and a bear. And I'm like, "Aw, that's very sweet." And I even was like, "I'm so sorry, man." I'm like, but I gave him a hug anyway. I was like, "Aw, I'm sorry." I gave him a hug. And he was like, "Thank you for being very open and accepting." I'm like, "That's not a problem." It's like, he was very attractive. It was kind of one of those things. It was like, "I'm so sorry," because you are very attractive, and sadly.
Yeah, Brent, I agree. He probably was looking for a sugar daddy.
Yeah, probably. That's all right.
Yeah. Artists don't make very good sugar daddies.
Yeah, I know. We really don't. We suck at the money thing.
Well, I mean, some artists, like, they do. Like, Andy Warhol, like, for some weird reason.
No, man. Talk about Jackson Pollock. That's the one that I always get on my high horse about. Jackson Pollock.
Yeah. I got like every other word of whatever you were saying. I don't know what's going on. Is something happening to me? Are you better?
No. 70%. Nope. I know. Hang on. Mood.
Hi, everyone. There's Guy.
There we go. Maybe that worked. Yeah, that worked. Okay.
Yeah. Brent was like,
you were like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like, I'm sitting here saying 60%, 70%, 50%, 40%. Oh no. You're like, I'm hearing every other word, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. The stream is degrading so fast. Okay, you know what? My coffee is downstairs calling my name. I'll be right back.
All right. So, a little update. I have 2 projects right now, comic book related, that I have to get finished. And then once they're done, they're going to be professionally reviewed to see if they're going to be picked up. So, yeah. I just have to get them done. That's where I'm at. And I'm kind of wondering on what time I should stream every day, or the days that I can stream. So, my watercolor posts, I think I'm just going to stick over to... I was doing like digital comics or digital coloring comics and stuff like that, and I'm finding that I can draw in ink faster by hand than I can on digital. So I'm going to be switching over to the watercolor for sure. Acrylic painting.
She's into acrylics.
As much as I would love to say that the journey of acrylic painting is a joy, it is a pain in the butt for me.
It was too messy for me.
I have a cousin who's acrylic painting, and she was like, "Can I get your advice on how to shade with acrylic painting?" And I'm like, "Acrylic paint," and I was like, "Are you asking me?" Like, I know how to do it with watercolor. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do it with acrylic paint because acrylic paint dries too fast. It doesn't. It's not a medium I really enjoy. So
it makes a mess for me.
I feel the bad news for you.
That's what I was thinking.
So much. I mean, if she came to you and said that she wanted to do oil painting, on the other hand, which is more forgiving than acrylic and watercolor, I think that would be. Yeah. But miniature painting, from what I've seen, like you can add shadows and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to have. You have like clear defined places that you put the shadows, from my understanding, right?
I don't know. I've been wanting to do. There's a version of mini painting that looks cell shaded, and I've been wanting to do that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting.
I've seen that with especially mecha. When you paint the mecha in miniature, sometimes they'll put the little cell shading lines and do 2 shades of color with like the little middle shade to kind of give it the gloss effect that you get in anime, and it looks gorgeous. I have a an Optimus Prime mini that I'm working on about this big, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to cell shade him. I've got him in his flats right now, and I'm going to put in the cell shades in a second and just take the same red and then darken it down.
I keep forgetting that you do cells with acrylic paint, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. That's why I don't do cells anymore. All right.
So, I thought you were taking a break from Bellatrix Rising.
Sort of. I don't know.
Let's do it.
I'm making.
Are you doing another Bellatrix Rising Volume 2?
Yeah, but I am saying potential naked maquettes. So I can do this whenever I work on potential naked maquettes.
Okay.
Oh, wait, that won't work because it says GS Davis art there. I'm going to have to bring this up.
Looks like some visuals for the channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right here. No. I'm adding a warning placard so that I can work on the naked maquettes without people freaking out. No, okay, so what happened was I had the start of a comic was already here. This started a comic. I had the first few pages of just 2 short stories. And they're already done, and they're already single scenes, and I really don't want to start anything new until after NDK. So I figured I would just go on ahead and keep dinking with these. They're already written. All that needs to happen is I need to just render the scenes and then draw them. And so I figure that's great idle operation. It doesn't need anything other than me to do that. But the scene that I decided to go in front is this one where Chang is talking to Jen, and she's naked and in bed, and there's nothing sexual. It's not a sexual scene at all. Wow. Incoming call from an unknown caller. He's going to have to just wait till after I'm done with my show. Hang on quick, though. Email him. Because that's Nate. In my stream, ATM, is it urgent? Question mark. There. So, knowing that I'm going to have potential naked maquettes, I'm going to make a thingy that says potential naked maquettes. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Maybe I should just flip this. That'd probably be better. Rather than do that. Flip it.
So I watched someone last night because I was up late doing laundry. And when I was waiting on the next round, because like basically I went to bed when it was like socks and stuff, because I don't really care if those get wrinkled and stuff. I went and I one of the channels I follow on YouTube, they were talking about nakedness. Now, when you're drawing on YouTube, you're allowed to draw butts.
Right.
You just
I'm drawing a whole lot more than butts. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't draw adult material and stuff like that.
Yep.
If the person's naked. So, but she was showing how to animate on through Procreate on her iPad. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, because it's like one of those things I've been thinking about if I restarted the Patreon and all of that stuff that that I would do. And I was like doing it, and she was like, "Oh, well, this is going to be for my Twitch stream." I didn't realize that Twitch doesn't allow butts.
It seems like it's getting worse. Like,
yeah.
So where it's like, just, if they're not fully clothed, then we won't allow it on any stream ever. Not even swimsuits anymore.
But these are like drawings. These aren't like what I'm talking about. These are drawings.
I know.
These aren't like.
I still feel like that's kind of.
Yeah, and so she had to go into. So she already had a cute animation that she had done, and then she took all the frames into Photoshop, and she basically had to do a pixelated bar over the butt of the character for the weight. And all it is it's a thing that loops for like 5 minutes, so she can start her streams on Twitch. It's nothing sexual about it. Like, realistically, if you look at it, it's just humor. Poop humor, but still humor. Like, she's sitting there drinking coffee, she jumps off, drops onto a toilet, and then gets sucked down through the toilet, and then basically back over to where she was drinking coffee.
Oh, man. I sneezed, and now I'm sniffly.
So, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, I think that's both funny and sad.
Yeah.
you hear somebody talking?
I don't hear anyone talking, guy.
I don't know if that was George or if that was just my kid set his alarm for 9:30, but that was weird. That was my kid's radio on there. Okay, so now I have done this, so I will bring in a new source. Image. And we will browse to... Yeah, I don't know what I'm getting very aggravated that... I mean, it's kind of interesting because part of the complaint that I'm seeing a lot of people saying about stuff that we're talking about for, say, for NDK, where we're not allowed to do certain things, you're not allowed to post certain things, yada, yada, yada. And I hear a lot of people saying, that's not fair, you can't do that, that's, da, 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 da. There we go. Potential naked drawings. And it's like all these like it's all down the road. There we go. Now I can just do this and I can switch from normal to potentially naked.
Okay.
That way, when I work on this scene, we're going to have naked maquettes, definitely. But we were talking about, like, what's really the problem in culture is not nudity, it's agency. And they don't fix that problem.
Yeah, I mean...
It's misogyny and mistreating women and treating women like objects and yada, yada, yada is the problem. But since that's not easy, you can't just say, don't do X like this. You can't just say, if you show their left foot, then you're not giving them agency or whatever. That's not an easy thing to say. So instead, they just wholesale ban nudity. And I'm like, well, okay. But it's leading to things like if you show your child in the bathtub, you're a pedophile. And that's like, whoa. Now you've gone one step too far,
Well, the thing is like a while back, we had a friend who Bill bought some toys and stuff, I guess, for for her daughter.
Yeah.
And they were for the bathtub.
Uh-huh.
This is a long time ago. So this is not like a new event. This is like happened a very long time ago. Right. So the friend of ours, like, snapped a photo of her playing in the bathtub.
Right.
And Bill got the image, then deleted the image after saying, thank you for showing me that she's appreciating it, but you could have just sent me a text. I don't need that information. I don't need that to be sent to me because now if someone saw that, they would think I was a pedophile.
And of course, like one of my favorite pictures of my son, he stripped naked and then colored himself with markers. It is the most hysterical thing on the planet. But if anybody sees that picture, it gives the wrong idea, but it's so freaking funny. And it's such a priceless moment in his world.
Well, there's a picture that my mom has of me when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
And so, folks, I just want to say every child goes through a nude phase.
Right.
Okay?
We all go through them.
Every child goes through, like, they don't want to wear clothes, they don't want to wear underwear, they don't want to wear anything.
My kid's still in that.
Nothing.
I have to fight him over that just because guests will come over and he'll be just naked. And we're like, no, you can't do that. You're 12 now. This freaks people out.
Yeah. And quite honestly, around this time, my mom was someone was trying to take a picture of my younger sister, and she's sitting there doing this face of, and at the edge of the picture is me right there, right in the photo, with everything like coming, like my front, like right there. It's the most hysterical photo from my childhood because like my sister's reacting. She thinks I'm actually in the photo, like fully, but she's center frame and I'm like off to the side, and they literally just get like a portion of the front part of my body.
Yeah. But
it's a hysterical photo.
That's the thing. Like specifically this picture of my son is so freaking funny. Even my dad that was his favorite picture of his grandson.
Yeah.
Even Dad and I talked about it. We're like, well, we can never show this to anybody. We literally can never show this to anybody. Because if we do, they're all going to get this impression that blah, 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 and it's like, really?
No, you can show it to someone, Guy. It's the first person he brings home.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, that's what I keep threatening him with. I'm like, first time you bring home a girlfriend, boyfriend, that's what's gonna happen. Don't think it won't. I keep threatening him with that. The funny part is that right now the kid has zero shame. He's like, so? I'm like, okay. You won't say so, and you think we get to that point,
Well, I think also at the same time, there's a lot of people who, like when they're younger and they don't have that, like they don't have that type of shame and stuff. It's like they don't really think about it, and then once they get into the moment where they're about to see like someone react to what their parents have threatened over the years, they're like, no, that's okay.
Right.
It's all good though.
Yeah, no, but it does frustrate me because people are so quick to throw words around now and insults and and accuse and things like that it's becoming terrifying because you don't want to be picked on for that. I mean, we're artists. We skirt a lot of lines that could be easily interpreted if you are super conservative and really religious or whatever. It could go bad. It could go very bad.
Yeah, it can.
And I'm not saying the religious people are bad. I'm just saying that I've met a few people in my family would misunderstand some of these things. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I grew up going to like my grandparents. They would take me to like art galleries and stuff as a kid, because they knew I liked art. So nudity and stuff like that. Also, like they never like no one in my family like really like in my immediate family, no one really shamed it. But also at the same time, like they just thought it was a phase, so like that's all that happened. Like that nude phase didn't didn't last very long anyway, because that was when I was with like my parents and they were together, and then when they got a divorce, like it all ended there, and I just I just did it in my bedroom type deal. Right. So just took me longer to answer the door of my bedroom.
Right. Carry a robe around.
Yeah.
But see, that's the other thing in this house. My wife grew up with in a hippie commune almost effectively, so she doesn't even think twice about it. Yeah. I mean, part of our problem has been that she will often get ready right over here in the corner, and she has to actively remember not to just walk over here and talk to you guys while she's still in the middle of changing clothes. because she may start changing clothes, strip totally down, and then walk off and do something and then come back. And that's the way she was raised. She doesn't think about it. She's got no body shame. It's part of what made me think about where we're going with these characters is she really, all she wears clothes for is because other people will freak out. And that's really it. If nobody would freak out, she'd be fine. She wouldn't care. It wouldn't matter.
As I talked to someone else the other day, because it's hot out, there's only so many layers of clothing you can get down to before you're arrested.
Right.
Okay.
But the major point here is that she just doesn't want to get arrested, and that's it.
Yep.
She's got no other reason. And so it becomes one of those things where it's like, well, I mean, I get that. But it's still kind of a problem child on that one. Maybe it's out of my other. I'm looking for something for Nate. Nate wants pictures, so I'm over here looking for that. If you're wondering what I'm doing.
No, it's okay.
You're like, I'm actually fine. But it does. It's part of what made me think about what we're doing with my comic. If everybody felt like my wife, as opposed to everybody feeling the other way, what would the world be like? You know, you only wear clothes when you need to. They only wear clothes in the spaceship because they don't want to get spaced and sucked out into space without a suit on. So they're wearing an emergency suit, which makes it easy for me to not have an entire comic full of naked people. But still, I mean, where would you be, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Do I have... No, I don't. Where's all this stuff coming from? Things are hidden all over the place. I can't find anything.
It's coming from your mind.
Yeah. Because I have all of the things he's looking for. I just have to figure out where it is. It's my photography folder. It'd be a weird place for me to put photography. Why would I do that? It's so strange.
Oh, did I tell you on what I found in Barnes and Noble the other day?
No, what'd you find in Barnes and Noble the other day?
Murder, She Wrote books.
Really?
Yeah, and the weirdest thing is they have they have the character of Jessica Fletcher, and they actually have Jessica Fletcher in the author space, but then like right next to it, it's who actually wrote it.
Okay, I get it. So it's written by Jessica Fletcher as the character, but they credit the actual author as a sort of like almost like a ghostwriter in a way. Mm-hmm. That's kind of clever, actually.
Yeah. And it was like, this is kind of interesting because it takes like, at least they don't sit there and just say it's Jessica Fletcher, and it's not like a collection of authors that basically like wrote as Jessica Fletcher, you know?
Right.
Like they make a point to showcase who that author is. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. That is pretty kick butt.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know. I just never really thought of like how to actually handle like finding her like those books from that series.
Right.
Like I guess this segues into what in your series can you see potentially people wanting to read or use or do like outside of seeing it in your comics, or like if you ever get like it turned into a TV show, cartoon, or other, live action,
right?
Like I guess that's where I'm at.
I often think, hang on, I'm blowing my nose. I apologize. I apologize for blowing my nose. I apologize for being human. I often think about, if I were to, if all of a sudden Blatrix Rising were to be turned into a TV show, who would play Chang? I'll do that from time to time. I have to find an actress who looks younger than she is. I like the idea of Cynthia Yu. She's cool because she's the one who plays Kelly on For All Mankind, and she looks pretty young because she actually played the character as a 16-year-old girl all the way through to like a 30-year-old. So she managed to pull that off really well.
Actually, the person that I personally have thought of for Chang is the one who played Mulan.
Oh yeah. Liu Yifei.
Yeah, because she has similar features to what you've already drawn for Chang.
And she can play strong, which she'd have to.
And I think she is young looking, but she's older than what most people think she is.
Yeah, she was born in 1987.
Yeah, and she played Mulan, who, lack of better terms, Mulan, the actual character, is supposed to be some from the
Marie Tron. Yeah, maybe that'd be interesting.
Kelly Marie Tron.
Yeah. She played Rose in the Star Wars, new Star Warses. She also was the voice of Raya. I think she was the voice of Raya. No, she wasn't. She was the voice of Raya.
Yeah.
I liked Raya. That was a good one. Which is funny because it was underrated.
Yeah. The only thing that I find different with Kelly Marie Tron is, even though she looks like she would be a very good choice, I think the previous one is probably the one I suggested. So, hey, Patsy. I think the one that it fits better. And I know that sounds wrong, and I'm not trying to dismiss what you guys are, what you're saying and suggesting. I just think that facially, structurally,
hi Patsy,
and stuff like that, I think it's a lot better for, like, you try to get as close to what the source material would be for as far as looks go, because I think all of them, you have some slight freckling on.
Yeah, but you just put freckles on people.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be hard.
Which and is besides, fine.
Really, honestly, where the freckles comes from is from Lucy Liu, because she's got freckles. And she was probably the first person that I ever had an epic crush on as a kid, and sort of imprinted a little bit, which is one of the reasons why Chang has freckles, I think, comes from Lucy Liu. And I think Lucy Liu is the one who really imprinted early on with me.
Well, Michelle Yeoh also has freckles.
Yep, but not as prominent.
No, they're not.
It's actually particularly funny because the Lucy, it was really funny because Asuka, when my other kid, my Japanese kid, when she was here, I was showing her pictures of Chang, and she's like, "Yeah, but she's Asian. Asians don't have freckles." And I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Nope." And I'm like, "Okay."
This isn't the first time, but this isn't the first time anyone, people who are from Japan, have said something about skin.
Oh yeah,
like that. I personally, I've actually been told by like people from Japan that I went to school with that that dark skin is bad. Like,
right?
Straight up, dark skin is bad.
They have problems over there all the times with. That's one of the reasons why they like having ALTs that are black, because it breaks the kids of that mentality. You know, and they like me because I was pudgy, and that breaks kids of that mentality.
Yeah. And the thing is like and I hate to say it, but a lot of the kids over there, like a lot of the anime that you hear, like that starts off like with someone that basically became a NEET because they were picked on so badly because of their physical traits that they just secluded themselves as a NEET after.
Oh yeah.
Like it's ridiculous on how many animes start with that. And so obviously it's a huge problem. But yeah, no. I think though also at the same time there's also another thing, like when I was in college, someone made a comment to, I think it was one of my friend's roommates, Mayako, who was, she's Japanese, obviously, by the name. They asked her if she knew someone at the school, and she's like, I know of her, but she's Chinese. I don't talk to her.
Yep.
Like, I was just like, whoa.
Well, but that's politics.
Yeah, that was more like not necessarily politically driven, but more or less.
I have to admit that when you mentioned Liu Weifei, but my first thought was, yeah, but she's pro-China and anti-Hong Kong, and that's actually a political division that I kind of side you. You know, like the whole Ukraine-Russia thing, I have an intellectual side in, but when it comes to Hong Kong, the fight in the Pacific, I actually have sort of now more of emotional buy into a lot of that, because I've got family, effectively, friends that are family, who are embedded and embroiled in all of this crap. And so part of it is that I'm like, yeah, she's pro-China, and I'm necessarily pro-China. I mean, I'm not talking about U.S. China. I'm talking about Hong Kong China. So
yeah. Well, the other one that I could actually...
I'm breaking up.
Okay.
From Bork.
Hi. It's now the Pepper Delayed show because, guys, internet is going wonky for a second.
There we go. See, every time I do that, come back in, it comes back better. I have now learned the trick, which is just to reload the page. I guess, well, no, because now I'm actually starting to break up again. 60% already.
Well, you're not like stuttering this time, so that's good.
Yeah. It's the Pepper Show.
But here's the one person that I think would be a compromise between the one that you were suggested that was after the one I suggested would be Jessica Henwick from the Iron Fist.
Oh yeah.
I think she would be a good compromise as well, and she's an American-born.
I don't mind.
She's
American.
She was a Singaporean.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me if they're
yeah.
born. That's fine.
She's British, so it's like I guess that's where she was born in Surrey. So it's not like she has birth ties to a specific place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that she'd be fine. I see. Yeah, I'm looking at her going, yeah, no, this would be fine. She'd be fine.
Honestly, I can picture her pulling off the captain uniform better.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just feel like it'd be pulled off better with her.
Makes sense. I am still running at like 80% over here on the connection side, so maybe.
Well, you're not breaking up, so knock on wood, you're still doing good.
Yep.
Um,
I am not finding the pictures. We've gotten into who Chang is. What's so funny is every time we talk about Chang versus who they all are, Bennett has always been, even since the very, very beginning, she's been Jennifer Aniston in my head. Like, that's Bennett. That same kind of quirky, weird, off-kilter humor, not always, just kind of, but also looks. She looks like Jennifer Aniston in my head. And I think that's kind of funny. And if I could cast anybody, I'd cast Jennifer Aniston. Because I think she's the one who would fit most there. Ward, I always had a different view of who Ward was, but Mayrell is a different character and has a different personality. The position in the comic is the same as Ward from my Tamerlane comics, but the character is completely different now. Whoever plays Mayrell has to be able to sing and sing beautifully, because that's a part of the Deus Thati tradition, is to sing and tell stories. They're bards. So by culture, if you were to ever do a long form version of Bellatrix Rising, there would be songs sung. So whoever played Mayrell would have to be dark skinned and sing very lovely. Lee. See you later, Patsy. Glad you could join us for a minute or two.
Bennett's another female character, right?
Yeah, that's the first officer character. The one with the one eye that's green and one eye that's brown.
There's actually an actress that already has hemochromium. It's blue and brown.
That's good enough. I don't think we've ever. Lily Collins. Lily Collins. Let me look at her. Oh yeah. No. Yeah, I'd go with that. I've got to admit, in the first picture that we pull her up on, she's got her hair up in a ponytail. And even has the little like things coming forward too. Yeah, she definitely.
Look up Kate Bosworth.
Kate Bosworth. Oh yeah.
She actually has the eye color difference.
And so the same eyes.
because when she does roles, she will either have it covered up with brown, or she'll have
a blue eye or
a blue eye cover up.
Yeah, actually, and she even has the correct eyes in the right spot. Her right eye is brown, which is what. Yeah, and she even kind of looks She'd be like, "Wow, this is the first time that I actually don't have to wear a contact lens for this part."
And surprisingly enough, another person who, if you ever wanted someone to play an older version of that character, Jane Seymour has the same type.
Okay.
This would be much older because obviously she's an older actress, but her right eye is brown and her left eye is like a greenish blue. So another one, it's not as pronounced, as Alice Eve. She's on Star Trek.
Yep. She's got heterochromia too, huh? Oh, she does.
Yeah.
That's kind of kick butt. And same eyes too.
Mm-hmm.
And Star Trek, which means that I can think that Alice Eve's pretty cool. I mean, right there, benefit.
Yeah, I think.
And though
I don't know if Kate Bosworth can sing, but I know Lily Collins can definitely sing because she was in a.
She's Phil Collins' daughter.
Yeah, you know. The other thing is like with Lily Collins is she's typically busy right now with projects, so. I mean, I know this is Dreamcasting, so it's. I guess
Dreamcasting. I mean, Lily Collins would be perfect for the role for Dreamcasting. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that would have to be involved in this.
One.
The first thing. They're just completely gone.
Hello, it's the Pepper Only Show. What? Guy's back.
I'm trying. There's something going on. I probably have too many browser windows open. I'm trying to pull up anime for the history of anime. I'm doing a presentation at NDK on the history of animation and history of anime. And this time I am redoing it. Before it was, haha, anime is really kind of from Bugs Bunny. And now I'm like, yeah, now that I've gone deeper into it, it's not from Bugs Bunny at all. Predates Bugs Bunny by a lot. In fact, I found out about a cool thing that Japan's been doing since the 1900s, where they take lanterns and they put gel characters in front of the lantern light and project it onto a curtain, and then they have the ability to flip them back and forth so you can make the characters look back and forth or make their arms go up and down, and like 2 or 3 frames, nothing major, but enough that they were doing doramas with it. So they were doing dramas, and they were doing the dramas where you'd have the actors behind the curtain voicing, and then they were projecting the characters up onto the screen, and you'd have the little wagaki band sitting out in front doing the dun, 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 sort of thing, and it was like, I'm like sitting there going, oh my god, this is like, the original anime is from here. It originates in the 1900s, and it has nothing really to do. I mean, they picked up our style, but the culture of that storytelling style and that methodology comes from the 1900s, from the Meiji Restoration era. And so then there's a whole bunch of movies that were the first anime that are lost, that are gone forever, because there was the 1923 Great Earthquake, which wiped out a good portion of Tokyo and destroyed all of the movies that were made. So a lot of stuff prior to 1923 is missing. And then World War II, we firebombed Tokyo. So anything between 23 and 1945 is spotty at best. So all of the stuff after 1945 is very solid. And that's where I had picked up before in my previous iteration of this. You know, culturally, I thought that was, and in fact, it's not like it was totally wrong. 20 years ago, when I did the first history of anime panel at NDK, that was sort of the going theory, was that was pretty much where it started. Was after World War II, they picked up Bugs Bunny and started running with it, you know. But now they picked up more copies of movies. They found more movies elsewhere. There's been more of a resurgence of trying to find out their cultural history and stuff like that since then. So my research has grown, but it also is more inclusive now. More
I'm going to go back to what I was doing.
You're like, I don't know what the hell's going
on. Hi, everyone. So, guys back.
I'm trying every time I disappear right now, I'm just trying to reboot. So I just refresh the page. But I'm going to go on ahead and close some of these things.
So, we haven't talked about we haven't. Thanks, Brent. We haven't talked about the Deistati. Mayrell's not the Deistati, though, right?
Yeah, she's the Deistati, the one with the tattoos on her forehead.
Yeah. What's the other one? I always keep forgetting your characters' names, and I apologize.
That's all right.
Because you have a lot of characters.
They're not very established yet, so
yeah.
I have the three main characters: is Chang, Bennett, and Mayrell. And Chang is the captain, Bennett's the first officer, and Mayrell's the pilot.
And Bennett has to have a darker skin tone, right?
Yeah, Bennett has to be darker, but I always envision her as either Greek, Mediterranean-esque, or Indian. I don't see her as African in that cultural sort of thing. She's Mediterranean or Indian in culture. I've got her having a little bump on her nose. You know, that's one of the things we can work on now that we're in between. A book is out, a book exists, the story exists, the world exists. You know what I mean? Like, it's there. I have a tech manual. Yeah, but the tech manual didn't come up with character designs, which is a shame, because the character designs that I have for some of this are really nice.
So the one person that I was thinking of, and I don't know if you would actually agree with this, would be Alibat.
How do you spell it?
ALIA BH. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
For the potential one.
Yeah. See, but that look is what I envisioned. The thicker eyebrows, darker skin, very rich skin, thick hair. I don't have any pictures. No, there's her in her. Yeah, and she's got her hair pulled back in this picture.
Yeah. She's a Bollywood actress that was born in England, so...
And she has cute little freckles. Look at that. She doesn't need to have freckles. There's no necessarily a need for freckles, but I find freckles horribly attractive. I don't know if you guys have met my wife. My wife is all freckles. I find her adorable.
Yeah, because all the current Greek, or like more, like if I go Star Trek Greek, you know who I'm gonna pull up.
Yep.
You know. which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But not necessarily what you're looking for when you're trying to.
No, but I think if I were to think of the coloration, definitely Marina Sirtis is the coloration I'm headed for, except with green eyes. That's the only problem, is she's got shockingly green eyes. So you remember the famous picture from National Geographic of the schoolgirl with the green eyes from Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Refugee? That was the image that went through my head when I redesigned Mayrel. You know, shockingly green eyes with the dark skin and the dark hair. But that doesn't have to be. I mean, you could use contact lenses.
Mm-hmm.
The person could just wear contacts. That's not a big deal. But I envisioned that. I am still looking, and I'm not finding, and I'm kind of worried now.
Well, there is. I don't know if she's still acting. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know if she's still acting, but it's a Canadian actress who is Greek descent, but she's more fair-skinned. Marie Avgeropoulos.
Okay.
And she has the striking eyes that you're talking about. I'll put her name in the private chat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let's see. I will take a look at it. The problem is I keep trying to. Oh yeah. See, that's it. That's more like what we're looking for. So those lovely green eyes, green blue eyes.
Yeah.
Of course, we're all talking about just their looks. We have no idea.
Well, the thing is like if you're going based off of what you're trying to do. For like, she was in the 100. If anyone wants to know who we're talking about, and she was also, and if anyone also wants to know, she was the daughter of Zeus that awakens in The Lightning Thief of Percy Jackson. She was the girl that like woke up at the end of that movie.
Right.
Okay. So it's like,
and I mean, you know, part of this is, I just found something interesting over here. Sorry. I will now move this over here to this. I am going through looking for Nate's things, and what I'm discovering is other things that probably ought to be retrieved and captured. So
yeah. So, no. I mean, for as far as like my own comics, I have like a Dreamcast too. So if you ever got a hold of my comics, I have a character in it that I literally Dreamcasting. I would cast the role of her daughter, and her would be a mother-daughter actors team, Goldie Hawn and Kate Hudson. So, and the characters are Goldie Hawn's character would be a character that we call Mother Nature. Her full name is Wilhelmina Krause. She owns the camp in my camp, the summer camp comic. And her daughter is Tinsy, and she's the local real estate agent that lives in the town that's attached to the summer camp. And I would have that mother-daughter team like there for that.
Makes sense. So what's so funny, Goldie Hawn cracks me up all the way around, because Goldie Hawn and my mom had a relationship. Not a relationship like a sexual one, but like they knew each other and they talked to each other regularly. And so Goldie Hawn is one of the few actresses that I knew as a kid. You know what I mean? I have no pull. If you asked me to go talk to her, I doubt seriously anything could happen. But
no.
But it's
I mean,
funny that you mentioned Goldie Hawn because I actually spent time with her.
No, I know she actually. I know she has a house in like Breckenridge in the Aspen area.
Yep. Or well, okay, I say yep. She did in the '80s. I don't know whether
she still does.
She probably still does, but
she still does because in an interview I saw like her and Kate Hudson and her son. I forget that Hudson. They were all talking about on how they would go to Colorado for like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that, and they still do. They still actually go to Colorado for Christmas. So, yeah, Oliver. That's who is it? All right.
I don't know if this drive still works. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see. Let's find out, shall we? Plug it in. Explode. No.
No.
Wow. The champion is in here. That's how old this is. Okay. It's a dad folder full of dad stuff. There's a Maya folder full of Maya stuff in here. I'm like, there's this old hard drive, and I'm like, what's on this hard drive? Let's find out, shall we? Family Transcript 2009. Ah, the first photos of my child. Okay, well, I can now tell what year this is from. Okay, well, it's a thing. I'm going to spend the entire frickin' time looking for stuff. That's not what I wanted.
So, Guy, did you ever look up your Did you ever look up your school to see if you could get like I don't know if you're still paying your college loans. Because someone introduced me to something, and
Wait. I'm sorry. Somebody was just Aaron's messaging me, and he doesn't usually message me. And he's saying, "Can I be contrary?" And I'm like, "You're always contrary." So going ahead and one more time, I need you to repeat what you just said because I wasn't focused, and then I got student loans, and that's all I got. So
okay. So, do you still pay your student loans?
No, I'm in eternal whatever eternal stuckness.
What do you mean?
Okay, so my student loans are a complicated and stupid story full of lots of hate and venom and stuff. So I went to Westwood College and got a degree, and it turns out that Westwood was not accredited while I was there. So my degree is null. So
I'm going to send you the link then.
I put in a protest, and it is still in process. They're still working it. Nobody said no, but nobody has said yes. So, but it a lot of other Westwood ones have gotten.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a link though, because Westwood is on a list of
people who get forgiven. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
not
send
sure
it to you
whether it will
again.
mess up everything by sending that in, but yes, absolutely send me the link. I will.
I'm gonna send you the link. But basically, I did mine last night because both of the colleges I went to are labeled predatory.
Yep.
And so now I'm waiting to hear back from mine. So I'm should I do it in the group chat or no?
Yeah, just do it in the group chat. Okay. I'm gonna have to copy that picture of Marie because it only saves them in the web formats, which is aggravating. But I want to save all of these pictures because actually I like the idea of sort of saying, this is kind of what I think, because I agree with you. She's probably the closest to how I perceive the look of Mayrel to some degree. I don't know if she can sing. She probably can't sing. It's okay. Who knows? Did I just have to close that? I had to close that. Aaron is trying to be contrary over here.
Okay. Sorry for so many messages.
No, it's not that. It's my friend Aaron cannot seem to send a paragraph. So he's doing the send one sentence, enter, send one sentence, enter, send one sentence, enter. And it's driving me crazy.
Well, I just typed 3 messages, and that was 3 of them when the pings were me.
Right.
So sorry about that.
No, it's not you. That's him. That's not you. Not I'm actually going to have to silence my phone. All he's saying, and I'm not opposed, he's saying, if anybody's going to have a mistake with Artemis, now is the time to do it. He kind of hopes that Artemis has a major malfunction here. There's no one aboard, there are no humans, and he feels like NASA needs to spend more time working on this project. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but his whole argument is this is the time for it to malfunction when there's not a soul aboard to risk. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I also think at this point in time, they're using RS-25 engines. Those are the old shuttle engines. Those actually were second stage engines of Saturn V. So it's not a design that's new. There's nothing new about the design. It's a very tried and true, guy. So I don't know. Anyway, grump. So anyway.
I agree with that, Brent. I agree.
I hate to say this, but government operations are always going to have politics involved. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I'd like to think that nobody would ever have politics, but that's not the way it goes. It's just not the way it goes. I mean, like, if you think about like things that happened during the Apollo era, we had a bunch of crap that occurred because of like putting different NASA space centers in different cities that don't make any sense. And it was all because that senator would only agree to the budget if NASA put a space thing in there. So you end up with things like the Kansas Cosmodrome and all of the stuff in Alabama for Space Camp and things like that. The weirdest crap that doesn't make any sense. So none of the space centers for NASA are consolidated. Houston's a major thing. All of Space City in Houston was all done because Kennedy had to apologize for making all kinds of derogatory remarks about Texas. And so in order to get buy-in from Texas, they had to put Houston in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's all full of politics. The question really is, can they pull it off? I think they can. I still think, first of all, the biggest thing that I'm aggravated about is that each presidency, they have a 15-year project to get to the moon. But every president gets in there and swaps things around every time. So that makes it a 20-year project, then a 25-year, then a 30-year project, then a 35-year, because Trump can't stand anything that Obama did, and Biden can't stand anything that Trump did. And you know what I mean? Like, they'll have to keep changing everything. So every time they do that, that's the politics I wish would stop. But you need more than 4 to 8 years in order to get this project through. And that means you have, and while we're doing this flip-flop back and forth, Democrat, Republican, back and forth, with each president undoing the previous president's stuff to prove to their constituency that they hate the previous party just horribly or whatever, as long as that happens, this is going to be like this, and it's never going to not be like this. Everybody who's ever watched the space program knows that's the case. The only real reason that we made it to the moon was sadly because Kennedy was assassinated. And everybody in the country was horrified and backed that. And since Kennedy's biggest thing was to get to the moon, the country backed it. And as soon as that wore off and the news got more and more into Vietnam, you saw Apollo die right there and then.
Yeah.
Everybody says it's because we made it to the moon and everything, and it was not exciting anymore. The truth was, we started to forget about Kennedy.
Yeah.
He started to fade. So,
I mean, Kennedy was very much well and alive when I was a kid in my family's house. So I don't. But then again, I lived in Florida, and we could go outside and see Cape Canaveral launches from our home. So.
Right. Which, I'm still very envious of. I'm just saying. So
the private sector seems to be booming a lot better for the space travel stuff.
Well, so here is the thing about the private sector. You need a government agency to make the first step. Because as much as I believe that SpaceX is going to get to Mars someday, I think somewhere along the line, his board of directors is going to turn 180 on him and say, what? You want $5 billion and we don't know anything about what you're going to pick up on Mars? You may pick up nothing and there will be no return? No. You know what I mean? The private sector has figured out how to monetize orbit, and I believe that they'll figure out a way to monetize the moon with helium-3. But I really believe that the ability for Musk to get to Mars is a pipe dream. He may do it. He may really do it, and I will be totally ecstatic and happy, and I will be the happiest person on the planet jumping up and down if his little spaceships land on Mars. So don't say that I'm not knocking SpaceX. I just think what's really going to happen is my video has died. But I think what's really going to happen is that, and that's, I don't understand why my video has died. But yeah, that's what I think is going to occur. There we go. Back. And I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe they will be able to pull it off, but I don't think. The biggest problem is you need a dispassionate third party that has no monetary interest in the situation in order to make it so that you can do the things that have no obvious business value. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to, or, SpaceX will make it to Mars and land on Mars and then turn around and come back, and that will be it. And nobody will ever let him go back. Because, it may occur, but he's got investors who so the benefits to, because I agree with Brent to some degree, but the red tape's not any different than all the red tape has always been. What really needs to happen is the government needs to land on Mars, and then private sector can take over once they find Mars.
Honestly though, I don't think every single time that I've seen things where the government lands on Mars first, it always seems to go bad after that. This is just my personal viewpoint. Maybe having the private sector land on Mars first would be better. But at the same time, we also can't have... Because, one of the government things to terraform Mars is to put, a bunch of nuclear bombs at one of the poles of Mars to release water to get an atmosphere.
Well, so that's
then you radiate a planet to terraform it.
I mean, that's not NASA's battle plan.
No, that's not. But that's a government official wanted to do that.
It's a think tank. One of the think tanks has come up with all kinds of stuff. But, I mean, the think tanks come up with everything. But I mean, so I feel like there is a dialogue that says the governments can't do anything. Governments are bad. They're screwed up. However, really, honestly, logistically, but that will work, Pepper, says Brent. If we just nuke Mars, things will go great.
Actually, the better plan, Brent, is actually if we just take some of the older, the smaller asteroids that can hit Mars at the same place and impact the ice at the cap.
You need to
it does the same thing without radiation.
But it's all right. That's
neither here nor there.
The thing is this. No matter how brilliant SpaceX has been, and SpaceX has been brilliant, we have to remember some very important things. One, SpaceX was founded in 2005, and they are just in the next 4 or 5 years may get to the moon. We already pioneered that technology. And if you think about it, we weren't even in space until 1957. And by 1969, we were on the moon. So it took us only 12 years to get from we don't even have anything in orbit to the moon because of the government. So the government may be tied up in red tape, and it may be stupid, and it may be ridiculous sometimes, but it's efficient when it can get there. You know, it does the things, and it did. It managed to get us to the moon, and really amazingly, with only 2 of the flights being screwed up, is actually kind of an astonishing thing. Because I was just
thinking back to the moon several times. It wasn't just once.
No, but Apollo 1 and Apollo 13 were the only ones that had an accident in flight. And so, I mean, like, and in some of it's kind of amazing. Apollo 12 got struck with lightning and somehow managed to make it through. You know, stuff like that.
Well, so and then you have the Challenger.
I'm talking about the moon program. So I'm talking about just us getting to the moon. Took only 12 years from no rockets at all, and in fact, no technology to get up into space to the moon. Yeah. Whereas SpaceX has had more than that amount of time and hasn't gotten to the moon yet. And that's because they are perfecting it. And I'm not knocking SpaceX at all. I think SpaceX is the next company to get to the moon. I think starships are incredible. And I'm really fascinated by what they're going to do with starships.
Well, SpaceX isn't SpaceX. Aren't they talking about putting like a base on the moon so that like?
In fact, SpaceX will be working with Artemis.
Yeah.
So SpaceX is going to put a starship in orbit around the moon, and then Artemis's Orion capsule will dock with it and use that spaceship, that starship, as a lander.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's a thing. And the thing is, Brent's right. Now, when we're talking about aircraft, that's a different story. Yeah. Because aircraft really pushed because of war. Yeah. Which is another government function. Because though you can say commercial airliners did a lot for jet engine technology, the truth is war got us from fabric and balsa wood through to metal and to heavier than air aircraft that were pretty serious, to jets. And then the commercial industry took the jets and perfected it. And I don't have any problem with but I think the thing I'm trying to get at is, I think no matter what, you won't get the beginning of a big jump like that off of commercial. You have to have a government do it, because you have to have people who are like dreaming, and then somebody who can just pay taxes and pull from the taxes and do it. Because if you're trying to get a company to do it, you have to get the investors on board. And what's your ROI? You know, what's going to be your return? And if you say nothing, it'll just be pretty, then the board's going to be like, no, you can't do it. I'm sorry, there's no ROI. So that's the biggest problem with companies, is without an ROI, which there is no ROI right now with Mars, which is why I'm saying just wait. I have a feeling SpaceX will tilt. They'll get people to the moon, find helium-3, and then start really racking in the money for that, because we'll need that for fission or for fusion reactors.
Well, I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't SpaceX didn't at one point they said they wanted to actually build an actual base?
Oh yeah,
on the moon.
Yeah, we do too. Artemis does too. NASA does too. I say we, like I'm part of NASA. I have just as much allegiance to SpaceX as I do in NASA. I don't know why I keep saying we, like I'm part of NASA.
But SpaceX, like basically, for SpaceX though, it is for people to bring people from the Earth to travel to the moon on vacation.
Probably. They also have intentions of putting up a hotel at some point in time. That's not SpaceX, but somebody else does.
Yeah.
They want to put a space hotel up.
Yeah.
That's a different
Like,
company.
and I guess where I'm at currently is it kind of tracks to where Star Trek is lining up.
Yeah.
We're only a few years behind that type of program.
Right. Yeah. Artemis's goal is to put a permanent base in the moon. That's the long-term goal of Artemis. And I agree. I think it's funny that For All Mankind kept flying the shuttles back and forth from the moon. They were never designed for that. But I guess they were not, they were pre-Nixon shuttles or alternate Nixon shuttles because there was no Nixon. Nixon messed with the shuttles. That's why I hate Nixon so much.
Well, and also, like, every single time I hear like a sci-fi series where there's colonies on the moon, I always giggle to myself because of what they say the humans that live on the moon like morphed into. They sound like little tiny, like, they, because they're shorter, because like there's no really like they're short or they're tall, but they always have round faces because there's like lack of gravity. In one, I actually read that when they travel to Earth, they have to actually have like a form of skeletal thing to support their body, so it doesn't like crush under the weight of Earth. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, they were doing that with The Expanse.
Yeah.
Because The Expanse is talking
the
about
Expanse
belters
is,
being tall.
Yeah, but The Expanse is like not where I first heard this. Like, I heard it in a dystopia when I was a kid, and they described this girl that came from the moon. She was like in a, she had like a metal, she had metal going down her arm in three places that wrapped right around her wrist, and all the guys in the class found her highly attractive because of her round face, like the roundness of her face.
Right.
Um, and like people didn't like the fact that she was from the moon.
Right.
She ends up going back to the moon. So
I don't know. I mean, my feeling on a lot of this is like my buddy Aaron is saying, I don't trust Boeing to make a man-rated spacecraft. And I'm like, they're making man-rated aircraft all the time. So I mean,
well, my problem with Boeing,
and I feel like my buddy is doing the opposite, which is that people who my friends who are left-leaning don't trust the companies, and the people who are right-leaning don't trust the government. And I'm sitting there going, but the government employed the companies and got us to do ridiculously weird things like send a man to the moon and had Neil Armstrong walking around, and that was Grumman, and that was Boeing, and that was, I mean, there was a lot of company, and it's kind of like
my only issue with Boeing is it takes them forever to finish something.
Yeah.
That's all.
But I mean,
like,
but that's it.
And it's not like I'm not saying that I don't disagree. I mean, to a degree, like, I just wish that things were done faster.
Right, and legitimately, their little starliners that they're putting together for the Orion program took forever.
Yeah.
But this isn't a boilerplate going up. I mean, this is an actual capsule, and it's supposed to file its entire flight plan. So I'm assuming it's got a heat shield. I'm assuming it's got all of these pieces, although I don't know because actually I sadly have not looked at Artemis 1's complete thing. And it occurs to me I might want to get information on Artemis 1, actually look at it, because first launch of the SLS and the complete Orion. Currently scheduled for 2 September. Yeah. Translunar mission will deploy CubeSats, distant retrograde orbit for 6 days, then return and re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so it's not boilerplate. So that's a big thing. It's coming back. It's going to come back, and it's going to come back into the atmosphere and re-enter on heat shields and everything. So it's not boilerplate, which is important. So anyway, I don't know. I agree with you, though. My biggest problem with Boeing is it took them longer than SpaceX has taken to develop a new spacecraft, to just get their one spacecraft that they've had on the board done. But SpaceX has done, and successfully done, fail faster, which is a Scrum technique for business, and it has been extraordinarily effective. And that technique is you blow stuff up until it stops blowing up, and it works so much faster than the NASA version where they can't blow anything up. Because if they blow it up, then they have to they have to go through an entire review process to figure out why they blew it up. We can't do that. So I've lost you on this one, haven't I?
Yep.
I lost you a while back.
I'm just letting you go. It's like sometimes when I talk to my husband, I just have to let him go.
Sometimes we just need to roll out.
Yeah. But at the same time, I just, it is what it is. The space program is going to be the space program that we currently have.
Sure.
There's nothing.
The program's a thing. I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah. I think that in the end, we just have to remind ourselves that people are going to be people. We don't have a Star Trek society yet.
But we want one. We have one.
There's a lot of people that want one. And I still, don't get me wrong, I still believe that even in the Star Trek, government setup, I still believe that there are people on Earth that don't want it.
Right.
And I would love to have a show where it's based off of, Earth politics with those people in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, like what's going on Earth?
Yeah.
Well, that was a thing we were just having this discussion about For All Mankind. This last season has been particularly soap opera-y. There's been an awful lot of soap opera. And and it was the part of the soap opera was the president and her husband and stuff like that, and that one was the part of the I hated that part, says this one guy, and I'm like, that's the one part I actually liked. That one was cool.
Yeah.
I had a problem with there was this entire long running issue with one of the characters being in love with another character's wife, and I was like, well, that one got too soap opera-y. But the thing about it was, I have always wondered how Clinton had managed to put Don't Ask, Don't Tell into place, and they managed to explain that in a fascinating way through the way that they did it in For All Mankind. So that was cool. So anyway, that's just a thing.
Yeah, it's right. Well, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm actually incredibly hungry, and I was wondering if we could
end early. I'm not doing anything, so I think that's a great idea. We should probably just go on ahead and do all of that. And so we will head on out. That sounds like a thing. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tonight and I'll be back tomorrow, but I won't be back tomorrow night. So there's only 3 shows for me this week, and then we'll be on our way. So cool. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, Pepper. Bye, Brent.
Bye. Bye, Brent.